Hello, friends, and welcome back to Malicious Compliance Stories. Let's dive into the story of a pizzeria owner who'd had enough of one customer's repeated antics and decided to shut it down for good. But before we dive in, make sure to hit that subscribe button, smash the like if you enjoy the content, and ring that notification bell so you never miss a juicy story. How I shut down a repeat offender in my pizzeria. I was owner-operator of a pizzeria. There was a couple that ordered carry-out a few times, and it was always a huge problem. The woman would call as her husband walked out the door, and they lived about 5 minutes' drive from the shop. They always ordered at the peak of Friday dinner rush. The sweet-tempered teenage girl that ran the register and took phone orders would tell her it would take half an hour, but the guy was already on his way. He would be livid at the wait, he'd start berating the cashier, so I'd have to come up and intervene. That was a problem because that meant no pizzas were getting made and my grill guy had to stop what he was doing to manage the stuff that was already in the oven. The third time this happened, I made sure it was the last time. I was prepared. The cashier started taking video on her phone. I went off about how his wife was told how long it would take when she placed the order, so he had no reason to expect it to be ready any sooner. I pointed out that while he was throwing a tantrum, he basically shut down food production, which meant that not only would his order take longer, he was screwing over everyone else who was waiting for their food. I'd brought a Domino's flyer from home. I gave it to him and told him to get the F out. He wanted to keep arguing, so I called the police and said I had a trespasser that refused to leave. The police station was 8 blocks away, so they showed up almost immediately. He tried arguing with them, but they shut that crap down in a hurry. They asked me if I wanted to press charges for trespassing, but I said I'd let it go as long as he and his wife never called or came in again. I warned him that if he tried slandering us with bad reviews, I'd post the video of him throwing a tantrum and make sure it went viral. I said I was okay with him telling people he knew what had happened because they all either knew he was an a-hole and wouldn't believe him, or were also a-holes, so I'd be better off not having them as customers. When he finally started walking out, the other customers who were waiting for their orders jeered at him and called him names. It was definitely the best thing that happened the whole time I had the pizzeria. Holy crap, you're the man. Or the woman. You're the person. I'd be interested in viewing that video. And our second story. My sister is my hero. I was with my sister at a large store several years ago. I was thinking it was Walmart, but it may have been Target. First off, my sister is a sweetheart, one of the most loving people you'll ever meet. She loves everyone. If you're a good person and do good things, she'll appreciate you. She doesn't curse or raise her voice ever. However, she also doesn't like or appreciate people mistreating others or injustices. She always speaks out. We were in line, it was a busy night, and we were several people back. In true sister fashion, she remembered things after we were in line and sent me to go get them. I ran to get them, and upon my return, I heard the tail end of a heated discussion which led to everyone clapping and my sister standing at the front of the line, angrily glaring at this one guy 3 people back. If I remember correctly, we were 5 people back, so 2 people behind him. Apparently, while I was gone, the cashier had to price check something and was taking a bit longer. The cashier was a very sweet young man that had Down syndrome. I don't think it was the cashier's fault things were slow. It was a busy spurt, meaning the store wasn't that busy, but quite a few people hit the registers all at the same time. And according to my sister, it was a series of events that caused things to slow down on our register. Anyway, the man 3 customers back was super pissed that things were taking slow and decided his time was more important than being a decent human being. He angrily muttered things under his breath that my sister refused to repeat. Then after the second price check, he started yelling, "Come on, you've got to be kidding me. Can we get a real employee to check us out? Get this R word out of here." According to the woman in front of him, that was when my sister had enough. She left our cart in line and marched over to the employee and stood next to him behind the conveyor belt. She looked at the employee and told him, "You're perfect, and don't let mean people try to tell you otherwise." Then she glared at the man, raising her voice to be heard since he was still in line, and now at her, "He doesn't need any other reason to be slow." I assume he was cursing too, but my sister doesn't curse, and when I was told what I missed, it was by my sister and the older woman. We were in our 20s. I assume the woman was mid-40s. that was in front of that mean dude. Anyway, she stared daggers into the man and bluntly told him, "How dare you talk to someone like that? No one deserves to be talked to like that. Also, I abhor that R word, but the only one acting like that is you." The man said something about how my sister can't talk to him like that. He's a customer, to which my sister told him, "I don't work here." She said it slowly and emphasized each word. "And I don't know him. What I do know is you have a poor attitude and should think about how you talk to people, as you don't want to be that guy," she air quoted for emphasis. I could hear the "I don't work here" as I came back and ended up running past everyone, seeing my sister still standing by the employee with her hand on his back. I ran past everyone and stood at the end of the conveyor belt. Mostly I wanted to be in between the man and my sister. Everyone started clapping by this point, and we're all staring at him. Some guy that was behind us was cheering on my sister and calling things out like, "Dude, don't be a douche, just shut up." No one moved or said anything else, so my sister continued, "Well, as I see it, you have two choices. You can leave and go somewhere else, or shut your mouth." At this point, a manager came up and stood next to me, looking around all the entire line, and everyone was dead quiet, waiting to see what the man wanted to do. "Is everything okay here?" he asked slowly. My sister answered, "This man here was verbally abusing your employee." The manager looked pissed, but the guy was already properly shamed for his attitude, looked down, not saying anything. My sister looked at the employee, asking him if he was okay or if he needed a break. The manager was a little slow, but backed up the break, even offered to take over his lane. The employee said he wanted one, but wanted to clear his lane first. My sister refused to leave his side. I refused to move. I wanted to stay between angry guy and my sister. The manager stood next to me and took over bagging, though he told the rest of the people in that line the other register was now open. A few people went. The guy went through the line quietly, paid and left, and refused to look at anyone in the eyes. After he went through, my sister waved the guy that was behind us through so we would be last. After we finished paying, the employee came around and gave her the biggest hug and thanked her. He had tears in his eyes. He said that it happened often and that was the first time anybody has ever stood up for him. He also explained this was why he rarely helps on register unless it's late at night. My sister told him to always remember, if people are mean, it wasn't his fault or his problem, it's their problem. After that, he left to go on break while the older woman stayed to talk to us and offered to buy our items. My sister refused the offer, but happily talked to her while they filled me in. The manager came out a few minutes later and gave us coupons and a gift card. She took the coupons, but asked if he would give the gift card to the employee. Honestly, I'm surprised Angry Man stayed and checked out. I hope he thinks about how he talks to people in the future. Edit. A lot of you are saying how awesome my sister is, and she definitely is. I've seen her stand up for countless employees and or people that are being mistreated. This was a particular one that stood out to me, though. Having been in retail and on the other end, I'm the kind of person that'll say what the employee wanted to say but can't, while my sister's one of those rare people that can make others see how their words affect others. It's a truly remarkable gift. Your sister's an amazing and extraordinary human being. Unfortunately, there aren't enough people like her in this world. We sure need more. And our next story. She stole her own parking space. So I just moved into a new apartment. It comes with its own parking space. The number is printed on a list by the front doors to the block. Space 2A, which is clearly marked in white in the lot 2. It's near the front door, a prime spot. I don't drive, so didn't really care that a car was parking there before. I just figured they would be happy to move to their own spot if I needed them to. I said hello to Entitled B parking there, and they complained that their spot's over the other side, so as this has been empty, they've been using this one. No problem, I say, just make sure you move your car if I need the space. Big mistake. I have a friend come to visit who drives, so the morning of her visit, I go to ask EB to move her car to their own spot, which is always empty and at the other end of the car park. EB says no. I politely point out that space 2A is mine. It's in my contract and on the sign on the notice board. I say I don't mind them parking there most of the time as long as I can use the space if needed for friends and family. EB refuses to move the car, then shuts the door in my face. Couple hours later, my friend is due to arrive and I notice the space is empty, so I direct friend to the spot. I figure EB must have seen reason and moved her car. Nope, barely half an hour later, and EB knocks on the door with her boyfriend/husband, whatever. They insist I move the car so they can get into their parking space to unload their shopping. I reinforce what I said earlier about the space being mine according to contract and the list, and that they have their own space. They storm off. About 10 minutes later, I get a phone call from my rental agency saying they've had a complaint I keep stealing someone's parking spot. Luckily, the agent knows me and knows I'm not the type to be an EB and sees through it. There's now a big sign on the space and a traffic cone. Let's see if she sticks to parking in her own spot. A small update, I just got back home and there's nobody in my space. There's also nobody in EB's space, though, and I don't see her car. The cone's still there with a printed letter asking to keep the space clear. The old "I'm only capable of walking less than a minute to my car." The hallmark of an entitled bee. And our last story. Neighbor thinks her kids have the right to use my pool because my husband and I have it all to ourselves. So to give a bit of background info, my husband, 25-year-old male, and I, 24-year-old female, live in Spain in a reasonably large 3-bed villa with a pool, especially for our age. We're originally from the UK, where we both attended uni and got married before working there a year and moving here. Our jobs are very specialized and at high demand here in Spain, so that's why we make a reasonably high income, allowing us to move into this villa. We're child-free for multiple reasons, including the fact that we're both on the autism spectrum, which would make raising a child difficult. Now, our single mom neighbor, who we'll call Karen, has 3 kids, all to different fathers. As far as I'm aware, her parents are wealthy and bought the house she lives in for her to support her choice to be a stay-at-home mom, mainly relying on them and the child support she receives from the dads. It's a 2-bed house with a small patio backyard just off of our large garden/pool area, so gratefully our houses aren't attached. The fence is about head height, but not tall enough for it to be difficult to peek your head over. Being the nosy and bored bee she is, she peers over a lot. It just so happens to be a day where my husband and I were lounging around in our pool when her familiar face popped over the fence top. The following conversation is only loosely correct and translated from Spanish. Karen says, "Can my kids play in your pool?" She didn't even say please. "No," my husband said quite bluntly. "But why not? I've got 3 bored kids and that pool's a waste on just the 2 of you." "It's our pool, Karen, and we worked hard to afford it," I said. "Yeah, but I've got kids to pay for." First of all, that was a choice you made, and second of all, you don't even pay for them. They're fed up of being cooped up inside all day. My husband said something to the effect of, "That sounds like a you kind of problem," which made her really angry, and I'm pretty sure she ended up telling her rich parents, but I didn't hear from them at all. In light of the event, since my husband and I don't want to move, we've requested planning permission to build a taller fence, and while it's still pending, it seems it's likely to get approved. We're planning to not even tell Karen and just see the look on her face when it's getting built. Hey guys, thank you all for watching the video. I'll see you in the next one.